Hare Krishna. Before we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Savas Prabhu and Tadit Mataji for allowing me to come here and giving me an opportunity to take darshan of Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish. Thank you. For many years, I've heard so much about. I was telling Prabhu that just like Rukmini heard about Krishna, I had been hearing about Prabhu and Mataji for so many years from my Guru Maharaj and from other devotees. And I finally got to take your darshan, to get darshan of their lordships and all of you. Thank you. Thank you for this chance to serve. Today we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, text number 39. The chapter is entitled The Movements of the Living Entities, text number 39. Please repeat. Sangam na kuryat pramada sujatu yogasya param paramarurukshu matsevaya pratilabdatmalabho vadanti ya nirayatvaram asya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Purport: the culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person is always thinking of Krishna in devotion if the topmost of all yogis. And in the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at that time understand the science of God. Here the word pratilabdatma labha occurs. Atma means self and labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their Atma or self, but those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self-realized soul who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women. In the modern age, however, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes, and at the same time he can become a yogi. In no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated here that the association of women is the gateway to hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in the Vedic civilization. Out of the 4 social divisions, the Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and the Sannyasi, 3 orders, are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the Grahasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with a woman, and that relationship is also restricted for begetting nice children. If, however, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Yonta praveshamam vajamimam prasuptam sanjiveta kila shaktidara swadhamna. Anyam shahasta charana shravana tvagadim prananamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam katanchana smrite yasmin duskaram sukaram bhavid vismrite vipritam sya Shri Chaitanya namamitam. Hare Krishna. We are reading this chapter, The Movements of the Living Entities, and Srila Prabhupada once again in this series. In the previous verse, he spoke about Julius Caesar and being captivated by Cleopatra. And here also he is speaking about the dangers of unrestricted sex life and objectifying women. So this energy, Srila Prabhupada has often spoken about very emphatically, the energy of lust. And for a sadhaka, for us as ISKCON devotees, it's not simply a moral problem. You know, for those who are not spiritualists in the sense, the conventional, wanting to get out of the material world types, they are just nice people, pious people, God-fearing people. For them, lust is a moral problem. Oh, I shouldn't think of anyone other than my partner. I should be chaste to my wife and my husband. So that's where it is. But for sadhakas, it's not simply a moral problem. It's a spiritual challenge. Even with one's own legitimate wife, husband, we have to transcend the need, the desire for sex life. So it's all the more important for us to courageously confront this energy and talk about it in classes, discussions. Not exactly our own individual challenge with lust, but the principle of lust needs to be discussed because this is the greatest binding which keeps us entangled in the material world. And from my readings or discussions with different devotees, I have seen that there are many principles, of course, to understand and face this challenge. There are 4 principles that come to my mind. First is the most important, loving emotions for Krishna. This is the ultimate way we can transcend this energy. What is that verse? Forget. Atmendriya priti vancha, Tara bole kam. Krishnendriya priti ichha, dare prema nam. So when we have a loving relationship with Krishna, we want to satisfy Krishna's senses. That's when this can be handled. This energy can be handled. You know, there is one of my favorite lectures of Srila Prabhupada. Oh, that was given in Los Angeles, July 5, 1971. It's there on YouTube also. It's called Just Learn to Love Krishna. It's just a 15-minute talk. Of course, the YouTube video is, I think, 30 minutes because they've added another class there. But that's an amazing class. So in that 15 minutes, at least 5 to 6 times, Srila Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is so nice. Krishna is so kind. He's talking about developing loving emotions for Krishna. You know this famous pastime of that South Indian Brahmin who couldn't read Bhagavad Gita? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, why are you reading? You are illiterate. And he's crying. So that Prabhupada narrates that pastime. And then, so I'm paraphrasing, exact words is, Srila Prabhupada says, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told this Brahman, but I see you are not reading. You are crying. So the Brahman said, I am not crying, I am feeling. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, what is that? Then Srila Prabhupada, is speaking on what the Brahmana is saying. He says, when I see my Krishna, he's become the chariot driver of his devotee. I think I start feeling that my Krishna is so nice. Krishna is so kind. Almost five times in those 15 minutes, Srila Prabhupada is speaking this. So he says, this is our goal. We want to love Krishna. We want to feel Krishna's love. Of course, we may say, but how do I know what Krishna wants? How can I love him? Srila Prabhupada says, you will know. How can you know to please me? Desire, you will know. So this is basically a relationship. And I've also seen, although this may not be the ideal way to chant Hare Krishna, like during japa, sometimes, I don't know if any of you ever find japa a struggle. I find many times. But one of the things that really helps me overcome lethargy and sleep during japa is one amazing technique I learned from Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. So he said, we are emotional beings. We may say human beings are rational, but rationality is just tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of emotions below. So he said, when chanting, if we can connect to emotions of someone who has helped us at some point of time in life selflessly, just thank that person and then thank Krishna for having sent that person in your life. While chanting, if we can enter that space, then that emotion will nourish us and make us feel that chanting, I can chant. So basically the whole thing is feelings, loving feelings for Krishna. That is the solution for lust. Along with nourishing the heart through cultivating loving emotions, we also need to make the head sharp. That is scripture study, understanding. So loving emotions for Krishna is one solution. Second is understanding from the scriptures. Scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, is not only graphic but emphatic about the dangers of lust. I think 9th canto is a really powerful canto for understanding the energy of lust. 9th canto, 14th chapter is Pururava's story. That is an amazing pastime. Pururava is attracted to Urvashi. Urvashi also likes him, and then she gives 3 conditions. That you should give me food in pure ghee. I should never see you naked except when we are united, and you should always protect my lambs. And Pururava agrees to everything. And then they enjoy, and Indra is meanwhile missing her because he is feeling separation from her. So then he sends the Gandharvas who come and they are bright, so they shine, and then she sees, and they kidnap they steal away the lambs. And Urvashi, she's like, oh, my lambs are gone. You are not protecting my lambs. You promised me you will do that. So Pururava gets up and he runs to protect the lambs, and the Gandharvas come in front. So the light falls on him. So he's naked. So it's basically broken the 2 of the 3 conditions. So she leaves him. I don't know whether the ghee thing was there, because she had asked him to give her food cooked in pure ghee. Prabhupada writes a long purport on how it's important to eat prasadam cooked in ghee. Actually, when you read Prabhupada's purports in this 9th canto, 14th chapter, it's a very serious pastime about lust. But you can't help laughing and also feeling sober. Prabhupada is to the point, the context, he explains the challenge. So anyway, so then Pururava, now the main thing happens. Pururava goes mad. He's like desperate for her. He's searching everywhere for Urvashi. Finally, he sees her in Kurukshetra. And then he begs her, please return to me. And she's like, I'm so cunning, and women are foxes. She gives him a discourse on how you should not trust me. And I've left you. So give up this desire to enjoy. He's like, no, I want you. Okay, then he says, okay, at least talk to me. He's like desperate. So finally, she agrees. But she agrees that I will meet you only once in a year. Now you may think he'll be happy. He's happy for the moment, but then he realizes when he gets her, he's going to lose her the next morning. So the whole year is in anxiety. So basically, Bhagavatam makes it very clear whether you fulfill your desire or you don't fulfill your desire. The desire is a problem. Finally, he begs the Gandharvas, please give me Urvashi. So they tell her, okay. So they give her a woman. So he thinks it's Urvashi. But when he enjoys with her, he realizes, this is... So they actually give her Agnistali, who is an Apsara woman. And he again becomes miserable, although he had a woman to enjoy, because he's attached to Urvashi. And then he does intense yajna, because in Treta Yuga, the process was yajna. So he does yajna and to please Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu appears and asks him for benediction. He says, I want Urvashi. And he gets Urvashi. And that 14th chapter ends with as if, they lived happily ever after. So I've heard many devotees tell me that when they were young brahmacharis, senior Prabhupada disciples, I've heard this from them, that so 9th canto, when it came out, they read this 14th chapter. It was like, oh, so desire is fulfilled. Lord Vishnu fulfills the desire. So they thought it's a good story. But they waited for a few years, and then when the 11th canto came, 11th canto, 26th chapter, I think, is Aila Geet, where Pururava's realization, Krishna is telling Uddhava realizations of Pururava after he enjoyed with Urvashi for many years. He is like completely miserable. And there are series of verses where he's offering prayers to Lord Vishnu and he's saying this lust is horrible. In fact, he starts criticizing Urvashi as a prostitute. And then he realizes that what he's saying is wrong. So he takes responsibility for his problem and he says, I am responsible. And then he says, what am I trying to enjoy? I'm trying to enjoy this body. And then there are a series of verses on the body. How body is abominable. And he says, whom does this body anyway belong to? Does it belong to my parents who gave it to me? Does it belong to the fire that burns it? Does it belong to my friends who pamper it and encourage it? Does it belong to my employer who engages me in different activities? So, and then he says, I am a Chakravarti, a great emperor, but I became a toy. I became a toy in the hands of women. I was attracted by lust. And then he says, yes, Mataji, I'm sorry. Okay. So he gets excited and he starts giving series of verses. There are series of verses describing the power of lust and especially the bodily enjoyment. And when you read those verses, you can't help but understand how body is. And the best part or the worst part is lust is not in the body. Therefore, with age, lust does not go away because, of course, Krishna says lust is situated in senses, mind and intelligence. That are three sitting places. But still, lust is not here. Lust is in the false ego. Therefore, with age, lust does not disappear unless we work on this energy. Pururava gives graphic examples of being kicked by a she-ass. So then he prays to Lord Vishnu and he finds peace only in the process of Krishna consciousness, chanting, devotional service. So like this, basically I'm talking about the point of understanding. So that is the second. First was loving emotions for Krishna. Second is understanding through scriptures. 9th canto, 14th chapter, 11th canto, 26th chapter. And then in the same 9th canto, 18th and 19th chapter is Yayati's story. Wow, that's like, that's another amazing pastime where Yayati is bewildered. He is enjoying with Devyani. And Sharmishta, she wants to have children through Yayati. And then he has a relationship with Sharmishta. And Devyani gets angry. She goes to her father, Shukracharya, who curses Yayati that you become an old man who can't enjoy. And then he says, no, but I haven't fulfilled my desires. So then he realizes, oh, my daughter will suffer if he doesn't have the capacity to enjoy. So he gives him youth. But he says, you'll have to exchange it with someone. So he proposes to his children. Puru agrees. And Yayati enjoys for many, many years. And what is his realization? Miserable. He doesn't want anything to do with it. So that's how Bhagavatam. Pururava. Who is Pururava's father? Buddha. Buddha's story is incredible. Now, Bhagavatam describes Brahmaji is very impressed by his grandson, moon god, Soma. Brahma's son Atri, Atri's son Buddha, Soma, and he's like very good manager. He manages, so he's made head of department of many areas like luminaries, constellations, many things. He's doing his job very well. And he's expert, he's handsome. So Soma starts thinking, I'm grandson of Brahma, I'm handsome, I'm good, I'm great. So, he gets intoxicated. Sometimes when you are good, we start thinking, I'm the enjoyer. So he kidnaps, of all people, he kidnaps his own guru's wife. Brahaspati's wife, Tara. And Brahaspati says, return my wife. He says, no. And then there is a huge war. Now look at how bizarre things can get. Brahaspati is a guru of the Devtas, demigods, right? Now the demigods are fighting amongst each other. Soma's party, moon god, is fighting against the other demigods. Now Shukracharya, who is a guru of the demons, he's an opportunist. He says this is a great chance to support moon god, because he doesn't like Brahaspati. So demons generally are fighting against the demigods, but here demons are supporting one part of the demigods to fight against the other party of demigods. And Lord Shiva's ghosts and hobgoblins, his associates, they generally support the demons. But Lord Shiva had got education from Angira Rishi. And Angira Rishi is a disciple of, son of Brahaspati. So Shiva feels obliged to his teacher and teacher's father. So Shiva's associates fight on behalf of Brahaspati. It's bizarre. The hobgoblins and ghosts who are supposed to be on the demon side, they are on this side of the demigods. And that's a massive war. It's inconclusive. Then Brahmaji has to intervene. Then and then they have a child. So this child, so Brahaspati says, this is my child, and moon god says, this is my child, and Tara refuses to explain, and the child speaks up that I'm son of Soma, moon god. So the child is taken, and that child is Buddha. He is the father of Pururava. So this is all pastimes so when we read scriptures, understand from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is like a law book. Sutras are given. Kame ste rita jnana. Lust will steal away the intelligence. Yes. Bhagavad Gita is like a law book, and Bhagavatam is like the case studies. If you're a lawyer, you read the law books, law courts, and you also read case studies. So Bhagavad Gita will give you many sutras about lust. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. Many, many verses. And you want case studies? Read Bhagavatam. So like that. So understanding of scriptures is very important. This is the second. Third, extremely important at a practical level to deal with lust is shelter of devotees. Shelter is extremely important, because when we have an emotional connection with devotees and Krishna, shelter of devotees and Krishna is what will shelter of process of Bhagavatam. Shelter basically means where I feel safe, a sense of belonging. So Bhagavatam, devotees especially. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya is traveling to South India with Kala Krishna Das. Kala Krishna Das is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant. He is personally serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he gets distracted by the Bhattaharis. And these women lure him. So the verse says, Stri dana dekhana tanra loba janmila arya sarala viprera buddhina shahoila. He was not an ordinary man. He was Arya, very civilized, Kala Krishna Das. Sarala, he was a simple person. Viprera, he was very clean, Brahminical. Still, Buddhi Nasha Hoila. Still his intelligence got corrupted. And Prabhupada writes there in the purport that he was a personal associate of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 24 hours he was getting association of the Supreme Lord, and still he became a victim of lust. what to speak of you and me. That's how dangerous it is. But he was redeemed. That's the beautiful part of the story. He was redeemed because, of course, Mahaprabhu rejected him. But Mahaprabhu wanted to teach a lesson. He takes shelter of the devotees. And devotees come to Lord Chaitanya and say, please excuse him. And then they have a meeting. It's like a management committee meeting. They come together to help him. Nityananda, Jagadananda, Mukunda, Damodar, Chari Jane, Yukti Tabe, Korila Antar. 4 of them. They have an intense meeting to help Kalakrishna Das. Nityananda, Jagadananda, Mukunda and Damodar. And then they come up with an idea. Let us send Kalakrishna Das to Bengal, where devotees are wanting to know what happened to Lord Chaitanya, who went to South India. So they give him a lot of Mahaprasad, and he goes to, and they ask Mahaprabhu, can we do this? Mahaprabhu says, do what you think is right. He doesn't disapprove. And then Kalakrishna goes to Bengal, and devotees are so joyful because he comes with the news of Lord Chaitanya. So a person who had become a victim of lust goes on to give extreme great joy to the Vaishnava community because he was sincere, he repented, and he took shelter of devotees. So these are the 3 of the 4 principles. First is loving emotions for Krishna. Second, understanding of scriptures. And third, shelter of devotees. And fourth, there's no shortcut to this, tolerate. Tam titikshasva bharata. Sometimes we just don't have to tolerate the energy of lust. We also need to tolerate our failures. We need to tolerate our setbacks. And we may fall, but we can't fall away. We need to rise, come towards Krishna. There is this series of lectures Prabhupada gave in Mumbai, November, December 1974. This is all on Ajamil section. Now, I derived it from those lectures. I mean, I don't know if Prabhupada uses the exact words, but he says, in 2 or 3 classes, he says, our goal is to capture Krishna, like Mother Yashoda captured Krishna. I remember when I was hearing that, I realized I can't do that. I can't capture Krishna with my love. So as if to console devotees like us, Prabhupada says, we have to choose Krishna. So even if we can't capture Krishna by our love, when we are faced with Maya and Krishna, we need to choose Krishna. And that means we have to tolerate this energy. So you may say, but I can't choose Krishna, I fail. I'm not able to tolerate this energy. Fine. I think one of those lectures in that series, Prabhupada says, come back to Krishna. We need to come back. Krishna, I'm yours. Krishna, please help me. So capture Krishna, not possible. Choosing Krishna, struggling. But come back. Krishna is waiting. Srila Prabhupada, he dismisses, he scoffs at the idea of, sometimes devotees say, I can't come back to Krishna, I can't remember Krishna, it's so difficult. Prabhupada says, oh, remember Krishna is so easy. You see the women in India, he talks about the Indian women. He says they are busy whole day, they are doing so much work, they are doing so much activity, but they always take care of the hair. Their hair, he says, the bunch of hair is proper. So Srila Prabhupada compares that with remembrance of Krishna. He says, remembrance of Krishna is like taking care of the bunch of hair. And our activities are like the services we do the whole day. So take care of your bunch of hair. Remember Krishna. So we have to somehow remember Krishna and tolerate this energy and keep coming back to Krishna. So to summarize, there are 4 principles we discussed on lust. First was loving emotions for Krishna. We discussed from that lecture Srila Prabhupada gave on developing loving feelings for Krishna. Second, understanding of scriptures. We discussed from 9th canto, 14th chapter, 18th, 19th, and 26th chapter of 11th canto. Third is shelter of devotees, Kala Krishna Das pastime. And finally, tolerate. Tolerate this energy. So lust is the solution for lust. Loving emotions for Krishna, understanding of scriptures, shelter of devotees, and tolerance. I'll stop here. Any corrections, comments? Hare Krishna. Oh, yes, Prabhu's, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Wonderful class. I have a question. So my service is book distribution. And one of the things I do on a regular basis is compliment people.
Yeah.
Because, that's a good way to kind of get them to drop their defenses and relate to you, okay? So half of the people I talk to are men, half of the people I talk to are women. And I have two standard compliments that I use. One is I start off by saying, wow, that's what I call a hairstyle. That is beautiful. Or that looks great. I wish I could do that, I say that to the men, I say that to women, and then I say a couple of things. And the other compliment is I say to the person, after they tell me their name, I say, I got to tell you, you really look like a rock star. Okay? And it's very effective. It really works. But the thing is, the reason I'm asking this question is that sometimes when I'm doing it with women, it's kind of, you feel the lust.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and I rationalize it in my mind. I think, well, like when I eat prasadam, sometimes it tastes good. What can I do? I can't feel guilty that prasadam's tasting good. It's just sometimes prasadam tastes good. So I think like that. Well, I'm not doing anything wrong. It's part of the service. It's like an occupational hazard. And I'm okay with that. But then when I hear a purport like this in a class, I think, well, I felt some anxiety. I feel like, maybe I'm just kidding myself and I'm really doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. And my consciousness is becoming contaminated. And what do you think?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Maybe others can also add. I'll just share 2 points on this. When I was doing Sankirtan, and when I joined the ashram, I was young, 25, and I was passionate, running around in the local trains of Mumbai. So this challenge many of us also face. So there are 2 principles which really helped me during that time. One was, if I wouldn't compliment women, but if I had to, like if there was a couple, I would generally give the book in the hand of the women and talk to the man. So the man's ego is satisfied that I'm talking to him, and the woman feels, she feels good, like I'm giving her a book. I would try that. But I realized that it's impersonal because sometimes women show interest, they ask questions, you can't just avoid them. And that's not proper etiquette also. So then one devotee suggested to me, and it works very well, connecting to Paramatma. See, there is Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. And sometimes we think Paramatma, the super soul, is a witness. We generally think of Paramatma as a witness in the heart who's observing everything. But there's more to Paramatma. He's not simply a witness, he's also a silent lover. He's waiting. The Shvetashatra Upanishad says, Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno. There's 2 birds in the tree. So the Paramatma is waiting for us to turn to him. Our neck, it's like this. On my left is Rukmini Dwarkadesh, Srila Prabhupada. On my right is my mind. My neck is generally turned towards my right, and I'm like, yes, sir, yes, sir. The whole process of bhakti is to turn the neck towards the Lord. So during such situations, offering a prayer to the Paramatma in the heart of that person. So when the person is seeing the book, I'm like smiling externally, talking, but internally, Krishna, please let her take the book. Krishna, please, please. I want a score also. Please let her take the book, Krishna. Please let her spiritual life begin. Please, 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 Krishna. And then after a few minutes, she gives the book back. Oh, okay. Okay, then go to the next person. Next person. So then each person we are giving the book, we are praying to the Paramatma. So then what happens? I saw an amazing transformation. When I started book distribution in the local trains of Mumbai, there was a time when I would do 100 plus books. I was like announcements and running around, and I would come back to the temple with 2 empty bags, feeling like in India, cricket is a very popular game. And you are called and you're successful in cricket as a game, when you score a century, when you get 100, and when the batsman walks into the pavilion, he waves his bat as if he's achieved something, a great milestone. So I would walk from the railway station to the temple, waving my bags because I would score 100. It was like, yeah, I'm a great preacher. And I would feel very happy getting a score of 100. But there are days when I got just 30, 20, 15. But if I was praying, as each person was even rejecting the book, but I was, Krishna, please let him take the book. Krishna, please. So that connection with Paramatma made me more satisfied even with lesser scores than when I had a big score without connection with Krishna. So 2 points. One is avoiding complimenting women, being respectful, but that is one. Second, connecting to Paramatma and appreciating the Lord in the heart is... See, there can always be... Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appreciated... who is that? I forget. There is sannyasi in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He appreciates Mataji, Sachi Mata, with beautiful words. So appreciation is not bad, but it has to be spiritual. But generally, as you rightly said, the lust gets in. So we need to be careful of word. But if you can't, then at least connect to Paramatma. Even if that doesn't happen, come to the devotees. Prabhu, we need at least one devotee, friend, who will not judge us and with whom we can be vulnerable. At least one. Okay. Sorry, I went on and on. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice. In this regard also, I have another comment, but in this regard, there's that story where Rameshwar Prabhu talked to Prabhupada about his book distribution equal to, like getting the gopis come to Krishna, the mood of the gopis. So I've been distributing books with many different devotees, but there's one particular devotee who actually genuinely has this mentality. And he says that when he sees a woman, he sees gopis.
Wow.
So that's really, and it's not joking, and I see him. So it's gopis. And I thought, wow. And it's true. And I've been observing this devotee for many years. And so with that mentality, actually, it's amazing. I witness, I see it, it's genuine, and it happens. And it's the topmost. And someone very young that is not really a dog woman, Manjari. And it's like, wow. So there's so much to learn from devotees like that. As far as joking goes, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned that the Lord himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being married with his wife, he only once said, you remember that, one joke, only once.
That is Mahaprasad, he said,
yeah,
your daughter-in-law is stealing the Mahaprasad.
Yeah. So now my comment originally was about understanding the scriptures and practical application. So, and I like that one part I can remember when you were saying that blame is not blaming someone. If you're lost, because sometimes, the scriptures put the women like very sexual. Actually, we, the men, are more lusty, if you want to call.
Of course.
And the fact is that this person, I think it's Pururava, after going through all these difficulties, he realized and he's blaming himself.
He takes responsibility.
Kim vidyaya, kim tapasa, kim vivicto namonena. He says, Striya Vaishya, mano hritan. What is the use of hearing so much scriptures, reading, tapasyas, austerities, if after all this, a woman comes and takes my mind away? But he's blaming himself. He's the lusty man. And all the other examples, the men, and even in the world right now, the man is misusing all this, putting all these videos and then post, how do you say?
Social media.
Yeah, social media. And then obviously, so ultimately, Srila Prabhupada mentions Purusha. Purusha means we're enjoyers. So that's men, women. Sometimes we're in the body of a man, but who knows tomorrow we're in the body of a woman. Or the woman was man in his past life, and it will be. So it's like that.
Yeah.
So that's just my comment.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Should we stop here? I see some hands. I don't know. What is the, we can? I see Prabhu is here. Okay. Sorry.
Regarding this question of Bhrigupati Prabhu, right? So, even in Lord Chaitanya, the reason for his appearance, there are two reasons, right? One is to spread the holy name, and second thing is to release the mood of Srimati Radharani, right? And usually these two things are seen separately, but actually they go together, because actually preaching is actually also part of experiencing the mood of Srimati Radharani. Actually, that is given in the Antya Lila of when Lord Chaitanya is in Gambhira. He was not preaching at that time. He was just releasing his mood, right? But that time, there is a pastime where he says that chanting is a cure of all suffering. I mean,
Sankirtan Kalo Parama Aradan.
Yeah. Then
Seito Sumedha Paya Krishna Racharan. Yes.
Yeah. So then Sarup Dhamma thinks, now you're not preaching, you're retired.
Yes.
Why you're thinking about preaching when you're releasing mood of Radharani, right? He said, no, actually it's not different, because that's one of the Srimati Radharani's Mahabhav. Yes. In one of the Mahabhav, that's actually preaching mood is included in that Mahabhav. Yes. So, it's difficult, but it's theoretically true that, that's.
But because we are dealing with material energy,
Right.
we need to also have sadhana, exclusive connection to holy name. Okay. That's why we focus on chanting, morning program, because we are dealing with money, opposite gender, that material energy can suck us. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for that.
Thank you.
Mentioned a couple times about capturing Krishna.
Prabhupada said.
Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada mentions this. He said that we should become expert crafters. He says expert crafter, like you're carving. He says, because Krishna is everywhere. You can capture Krishna, provided you become an expert crafter.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. I see Mataji is also there. What? I think we should take one question from the Mataji's side, because so many. Yeah.
Prabhu, I have two questions. One is, which is the lecture of Prabhupada, 15-minute lecture?
July 5, 1971.
And the second one is...
Just learn to love Krishna. That's the title, I believe. Yeah.
The second question is, what were the 3 points of yesterday's lecture?
Yesterday's lecture?
The lessons from Gaur Leela.
Yesterday's lecture? Oh, yesterday evening?
Yes.
Okay. I said 3 points. Did I say 3 points?
Divinity, understanding divinity.
Oh, okay. We need to appreciate each other first at level of I. That means how this person has helped me. But then we need to appreciate, second level is we need to appreciate the person independent of me. And third, appreciate that person in connection with Krishna. See divinity in that person. Like I gave the example of somebody who helped me and my mother, helped me in taking care of my mother. That was the first level of appreciation. Second level was to see him how he is helping so many other devotees where I am not the center. That is the second level. And third, seeing his qualities being embodied by the Lord or by great personalities. Like Prabhupada dedicated his Krishna book to his father. So this Prabhuji is also doing that. He's serving his parents. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Matra Bhakta Shiromani, the greatest devotee of his mother. So this Prabhuji is serving his mother so nicely. So I see him as a representative of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, like that. So there are the 3 ways of appreciating based on Gaur Leela. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Oh. So we'll stop here, Prabhus. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.